Tonight, Alabama and Ohio State kick off a new season. There are just two teams of 100 across the country who would like to take that away from us. 1986 promises to be a great season in college football as it continues to grow and prosper. We would like to wish those two teams good luck tonight. Now let's play football.
Mazda presents the opening of the 118th season of college football, the 1986 Kickoff Classic, brought to you by Mazda's Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And we're ready to get the 1986 football season underway as the Alabama Crimson Tide takes on the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Kickoff Classic football game. An exclusive presentation of Raycom Sports.
I got a grin so big you can see it from the 55th row right now. Keep it in front of you if you're on defense. Get deep, keep it in front of you.
Carsados to throws over the middle and completes it to Workman, and Workman is dumped to the 28. We have 47 seconds left to play.
They know how to play when they have a lead. Alabama's resting 3 players.
33 seconds remaining. Second down, a little over 2. Carsados guns for the sideline, completes it to Carter, and Carter gets out of bounds with 24 seconds remaining, but he's in Alabama territory on the 48-yard line after a 20 just across midfield into Ohio State territory. Play action, Carsados under a rush, completes it to Workman. He's out of bounds to stop the clock, and we have 19 seconds remaining. He's on the 45-yard line of Alabama.
Team organized, getting the play called, and everyone knows what we're going to do.
Carsados 20 out of 30, 193 yards. Carsados is in trouble and gets pulled down. 14 seconds remaining. Ohio State calls its last timeout. 8 seconds left on the 48-yard.
1 play, 2 plays maybe. Keep it in front of you now. Keep it in front of you. Inside the 20.
Carsados gonna air it out. 4 seconds left. That's it for it is knocked down the flag of the play. No time left. If that is a defensive penalty, the game will continue. Here we go. Carsados into the play. Let's watch. It is over. Alabama beats Ohio State. And the
quarter with the score tied 7-all, but Maryland on the move deep into Pittsburgh territory. And then a 29-yard field goal attempt by Dan Plotke with just about 2 minutes left. It is good, and it puts the Terps up by 3. It's not over yet, though. The Pitt Panthers will put together a nice 2-minute drill driving toward a possible score, but then Maryland's rush eventually will bury Pitt quarterback John Congemi on this key third down play with time running out, and a fourth down pass falls incomplete. Maryland holds on to a 10-7 victory in the season opener. And the
Stevens to pass, looking for Willie Anderson, and a fine catch at the 32-yard line. A Carl Willie flipper. He's brought down there by Sonny Brown, and Anderson, I understand, really impressed the UCLA coaches this last spring. It's 3rd and 8. Stevens to the air, going long, and it's picked off by Oklahoma. That is Scott Garrett. All right, quarterback, and Stevens underthrew his man. Oklahoma has the football.
Florida game has gone on to contend for the national championship, and right now in the second quarter in 110-degree heat at Florida Field, it is Miami which leads Florida 7-3, but the Gators now have 2 interceptions of Vinny Testaverde passes, both by Jarvis Williams, in what has become a defensive battle. Alabama got its second victory of the season today in Tuscaloosa. The Crimson Tide beat Vanderbilt 42-10. We'll have highlights of that game coming up. Rutgers upset Boston College 11-9. First Rutgers victory over the Eagles since 1919 in Fenway Park. and Sean Halloran had a miserable day at starting quarterback for Boston College. West Virginia beat Northern Illinois 47-14, broke open a tight game with 12 points in the last 44 seconds of the first half and went on to pile up 530 yards. North Carolina had a big day. Derek Finner rushed for 216 yards, and Mark May, at reserve quarterback, once one of the most heavily recruited quarterbacks in the country, finally played, completed 4 of 4 passes in a reserve role, 77 yards and a touchdown. South Carolina fell to Virginia 30-20. Highlights of that game coming up. Duke and Northwestern, the score right now is 17-6 Duke in that game. Auburn 35-14 over UT Chattanooga in the fourth quarter. Colorado State with a big upset over Colorado. After the great year last year, Colorado opens miserably. 6 turnovers in the rain at Boulder as Colorado State gets the upset win 23-7. Baylor and Wyoming closer than expected. 18-13 Baylor in the third quarter. Their defensive backfield very highly touted already. They have an interception return for a touchdown by Thomas Everett. Brigham Young unveiled new quarterback Steve Lindsley, 24-year-old former walk-on. After a rocky start and 2 interceptions in the first quarter, he came on to throw for 369 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. BYU leading 45-0 in the fourth and wrapping it up. Back with more in a moment.
College football. College football. It's fun. It's exciting. You'll get a kick out of it.
Alabama got a jump on the rest of the national championship contenders with their kickoff classic victory over Ohio State, but the Tide sputtered a bit on offense in that game. Not so today, as in Tuscaloosa, they cruised to a 42-10 victory over Vanderbilt. A look now at highlights from the ball game. Alabama in red, Vanderbilt in white. Here in the second quarter with the score already 7-0, Mike Shula, who again had a largely mistake-free game through this 36-yard pass to Bobby Humphrey to set up a 2-yard Humphrey run that made it 14-0. Gene Jelks is the other outstanding running back for Alabama, and he was in the ball game in the third quarter to produce this 75-yard touchdown run on the quick opener that broke. This made it 21-0 Alabama, and the issue was no longer in doubt after that. Very shortly after that, Derek Thomas, the young linebacker who has replaced Cornelius Bennett in the starting lineup while Bennett nurses a hamstring injury, blocked this Allen Herline punt and went 44 yards on the return. That's the total of the play for the touchdown that made it 28-0. The Tide went on to win it 42-10. And stepping in now to George Welsh's arrival in 1982 had only 2 winning seasons in 30 years. Today, the Cavaliers began their bid for a 4th consecutive winning season against a South Carolina team that already had a game against Miami under its belt. But it was Virginia which got off to the hot start. First quarter, 55-yard touchdown run by Chris Warren, one of the men who's expected to take up the slack now that Howard Petty is out because of the cocaine distribution charge. That made it 13-6 Virginia. Then South Carolina came back. This 23-yard or 26-yard touchdown run by Harold Green tied it up at 13 apiece. Still in the second quarter, though, in what was a wild-scoring first half, Don Mikowski, 70-yard touchdown pass to John Ford, who was out all of last year and comes back to put the big play back in the Virginia offense. That made it 20-13, and then Virginia went on to extend the lead to 27-13 on this touchdown pass from Mikowski to Kevin Morgan. So the Cavaliers were more explosive today than they were during last year's 6-5 campaign, and they've gotten a good start toward another winning season, rapidly becoming a tradition in Charlottesville. We'll be back with more right after this.
Center break. The clock ticks down. 2 seconds. 1. There's the gun, and that's it. Oklahoma opens up with a powerful 38-3 victory over UCLA. They've won 9 consecutive games, and Barry Switzer and company mighty pleased. They want to go after a 7th national title. Back in a moment.
In Florida, continuing a raging battle before the largest crowd ever in Florida field, nearly 75,000, and most recently after a Ricky Nattiel fumble of a punt. Testaverde has produced his first touchdown pass of the day, 14 yards to Mike Irvin, and the Hurricanes are on top 23-9 in that one, trying to become the first non-Southeastern Conference team to beat Florida since they did it in 1980. The Gators have won 18 straight against such teams since that time. And though the game has been blacked out on television, we will have highlights of the game tonight at halftime of the Nebraska-Florida State game.
How long they've been around. The rain's coming down again. It figures everybody's trying to get to their car and go home now as time is just about run out. And here is another sack of Chip Ferguson by Neil Smith. That's his second sack of the night and the 7th for the Nebraska defense, with now 35 seconds to play in the game. Lakeman keeps on the option play and gets the clock rolling, and whistles now will stop it at about 9 seconds or so. No, they didn't stop it. I thought for a moment they were going to whistle the clock dead. Florida State's second half offense minus 1 yard. Only 2 first downs and both by penalty, and the ball game is over. The Nebraska Cornhuskers over with an impressive 34-17 victory over the Florida State Seminoles.
Time for the Owls and Owls fans. A full schedule of college football games today. The big matchup for us, Temple and Penn State at University Park. A full house on hand at Beaver Stadium tonight for the first night game in its history. Lots of scoring Penn State way. The Nittany Lions were looking good. 14-0 right there. TD catch by Eric Hamilton. The Nittany Lions would get more from 12 yards out. Schaefer would drop back and float one up. At the receiving end is Jim Coates. The 12-yard TD reception was good. It was 31-6. The Lions were roaring. Temple got on the board with a couple of field goals and a run by Paul Palmer. The little big man worked his way out of the wishbone and rambled in for the score from 9 yards out. It was 38-12 when he did that. And then this happened. The Owls looking for more points. Lee Saltz drops back looking downfield, but Keith Karpecki was looking for the ball. Karpecki motored down the field. He would sprint 65 yards. PSU sprinted to an opening day win. The final from University Park, Penn State 45, Temple 15. Check other area scores. Widener 10-6 over Norwich. Delaware pounded Rhode Island 44-10. Cheney State 18-4 over West Virginia State. Rutgers 11. Boston College 9. And Delaware State over Boston U 30-9. Top 20. Number 1 Oklahoma and the Wishbone at home against 4th-ranked UCLA. Jameel Holloway is the quarterback. Check this move out. Nice pivot. Holloway rambles in the sweet way. Oklahoma wins at home 38-3. Check all the numbers now in the top 20. Oklahoma wins big. Number 3, Miami 23-15 over Florida. Alabama 42, Vanderbilt 10. In the 4th, Nebraska was leading Florida State 24-17. Tennessee 35-21 over New Mexico. Baylor 31, Wyoming 28. Auburn 42-14 over Tennessee, Chattanooga, and BYU shut out Utah State 52-0.
Pat Moons, the senior, 23-yard try. It is good. At 52 seconds to go in the first half. Michigan has to settle for a field goal. They could not punch it in from the 6. It's 14-10. Irish.
Wolverines settle for a field goal. Santos under pressure delivers it to Carter, who had fallen down and made the reception at the 22-yard line.
Great concentration. Erline drops. Got trips to the top of the picture. Puts it in the air as far as he can throw it. And it's incomplete. And the first half is over. So, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, first time out under Lou Holtz, go to the clubhouse, leading 14-10 over Michigan.
In his end zone again, incomplete. And Habib was in.
Significant upsets in college football. Alabama appears to be safe, leading 31-17 over Southern Mississippi in the 4th quarter. Shula has thrown 2 touchdown passes to Greg Richardson, and they had to use Gene Jelks, who was out with a groin injury. Mississippi State upset Tennessee 27-23. We'll have highlights and a live interview from Knoxville just a little bit later in halftime. New Mexico leads Brigham Young in Provo 30-24, as we told you just moments ago. Another brilliant performance by New Mexico senior quarterback Billy Rucker. They're in the closing minutes of that game, and here is the touchdown, which, if it stands up, is going to account for the winning margin in that game. It came after the recovery of a fumble on a kickoff following a long New Mexico drive and a touchdown. Rucker going in from 17 yards out himself. to give New Mexico what is presently their working margin. In the rain in Seattle, Washington is pounding Ohio State 27-7. Now in the fourth quarter, the Buckeyes haven't opened that 0-2 in 92 years, but that will be their record if they lose today. Georgia beat Duke in the first meeting ever between those two teams. James Jackson, Georgia quarterback, 16 of 22 for 193 yards and a touchdown. No Bulldog quarterback has thrown for 200 yards since Matt Robinson in 1974. Iowa pounded Iowa State 43-7. New quarterback Mark Vlasic, 286 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Boston College came from behind to beat California 21-13. Lost the starting quarterback today, Mike Power, for 6 or 8 weeks with a broken ankle, but his backup, Mark Camphouse, came in to get the victory. 5 games and 32 years Clemson has lost to a team from the Virginia State. Furman tied Georgia Tech 17-17. Furman is a Division I AA team with a new coach in Jimmy Satterfield, and that's a very satisfying result for him. Indiana beat Louisville 21-0. Schnellenberger's Cardinals have now been shut out in their opening 2 games of the season, and he still doesn't have a win over a Division IA team in his tenure at Louisville. North Carolina, playing without tailback Derek Fenner, who was suspended and left behind in Chapel Hill, nevertheless beat Kansas 20-0 as Kansas suffered 5 turnovers and had 2 field goals blocked. Rutgers tied Kentucky at Kentucky 16-16. Second straight outstanding performance for Dick Anderson's team, and Kentucky needed a field goal from Joe Worley, 32 yards out, 1 second on the clock to bring off the tie. Army is hanging on to a 33-28 lead over Syracuse in West Point. 3 minutes left in the game. It was 33-14 Army, but Syracuse has come back with a Byron Abraham touchdown run and a 6-yard run by McPherson. Clarence Jones, 3 TDs for the Black Knights of the Hudson. Navy got a victory over Virginia. George Welsh now 2-3 against Navy, his alma mater, since going to Virginia 5 years ago. Bill Byrne, the Navy quarterback, threw well and ran for a touchdown. Wisconsin is beating Northern Illinois. Mike Howard, the Wisconsin quarterback, has 4 touchdown passes in that game. Ball State at Purdue, debut game for the most highly touted freshman quarterback in the country, Jeff George of Purdue. Threw his first touchdown pass in the third quarter, a 30-yarder to Rick Brunner. In the first half, he had 2 interceptions and a shaky start. 236 family members and friends have bought season tickets to watch George play as a freshman at Purdue. They all sit in a block on the visitors' side of the field. Missouri is leading Utah State 24-10 in the fourth quarter in what is a must-win for beleaguered Missouri coach Woody Widenhofer, 110 a year ago. And TCU has a 34-17 win over Tulane. In that game, Tony Jeffrey of TCU has over 250 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, and he has broken the school record for rushing. And those are the important teams in college football, which are not playing today. Back with more after this. The Sea came back and took a 16-7 lead, but late in the second quarter, Smith again with this touchdown pass to Lewis Clark. Great catch in the corner of the end zone. It was 16-14 Tennessee at halftime. Then Howard scored for Tennessee to put them up 23-14, and Mississippi State came back with 2 touchdowns. Another touchdown pass from Smith, and finally this 62-yard run, which put the Bulldogs ahead 27-23. They held on to make it stand up for the youngest head coach in Division IA. Here was Tennessee's last threat. 4th and 16 from the 16-yard line. 1:53 remaining. Francis throwing in the corner of the end zone. The defender right there, and that made it stand up for Mississippi State. Rocky Felker, the youngest.
The third quarter, and Harbaugh now looks to cash in. He's got a man going into the corner.
From New Mexico, Cougars beat New Mexico 31-30. Lobos had taken a 30-17 lead. As you can see, the extra point hit the goal post. 9 minutes to go in that contest. But you know that's the offense for the Cougars. They like to air it out. And here's their new star quarterback, Steve Lindsley, going to Mark Bellini. That was a 4th down play. Cut it to 30-24 with 5 minutes to go. Then Lindsley, after a 47-yard completion, hands off to Mooley for the winning touchdown. 31-30. BYU dodges the bullet. Lindsley had 361 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And next week, BYU will take on that red-hot Washington team we saw today. That contest will take place in Seattle. All right, but today, Army at home. Watch this beautiful little razzle-dazzle play. The reverse to Benny White, who takes it around the left end, 22 yards for the score. That put the Cadets up by 9. They go on to win it by 5. 33-28, and they run that home winning streak
to 13 in a row. They haven't lost at home in 3 years. So Jim Young doing a good job once again with Army. Syracuse.
Second down play, third down. Third and about 2, right.
And nothing hurts a team that tries a hurry-up than to be stuffed in 3 downs and out.
Reverse.
And around. There goes. Injured. They are not stuffed. They've got the first down out at the 48-yard line. And Spence again on the tackle along with Kovalevsky, the captain of the Irish. Rising to the left. And it's White. Getting to the 45-yard line.
In the first quarter, it was Purdue which got on the board first as celebrated freshman quarterback Jeff George threw 2 touchdown passes to Lance Scheid. This one, a 25-yarder, was the second of the 2 and made it 14-0 Purdue. Since then, however, it has been all Pitt, and the interceptions have played a role here as well. First, you're going to see, after a Pittsburgh touchdown made it 14-7, Billy Owens picking off a George pass and going 43 yards to tie the football game at 14-14. Then Pittsburgh, which had missed its first 5 field goal attempts of the season, got 2 field goals to make it 20-14. Craig Ironhead Hayward took it in from 6 yards out to make it 27-14. In the third quarter, John Congemi hit Charlie Gladman with a 29-yard touchdown pass to make it 34-14. Since then, the Panthers have scored once again. Great one-handed catch there by Gladman, who went down the sideline for the 29-yard touchdown. Another touchdown by Pitt has made it now 41-14 Panthers in the third.
He's back in the game. Second down and 9. Carlson coming around, flips the ball back to Perry. Perry had only one man out there in front, and he couldn't get away from Lewis. Know that those legs will carry some power with him. I don't know if that public address announcer is as loud for you folks at home as it is in my headset, but it's distracting at the moment. This is Carlson spinning to the goal line. Didn't do it. That should be a touchdown. That should be a touchdown because before he hit, the ball was thrown over the invisible plane, unless part of his body hit the ground first. Junior Thurman made the tackle for Southern California. On the field, less than 2 yards, he comes in. He has a particular talent for this. He's 1,000% on the season, and he still is. Touchdown, Baylor. That's by the score. Nothing fancy about that. Every time he's been sent into the ball game to produce a short yardage gain, or in this case, the touchdown. Back quickly. He was knocking people around and flying to the football, and he's doing it today. Third down and 7 as the crowd gets into it now. And Rodney Peete straight back. Gets the pass away. Again, pressure. Pass is offline and incomplete. So once again, Baylor is able to do what they want to do. Even though Pete got the ball away, he wound up.
The University of Notre Dame grew from a vision of Father Edward Sorin, who wanted to build an American Catholic university, the equal of the great medieval universities. Today, Notre Dame is the best-known Catholic university in the world, a residential campus where students come not only to learn, but to learn how to live. Notre Dame serves contemporary society and the church in whose tradition it was founded by being a place where belief informs scholarship, where values give meaning to facts.
Actually across this great land up at Cornell and Stanford, but I really think one of the more underrated is right here at East Lansing. I think it's beautiful every time you drive around here in the fall. Great stadium, great fans. I never thought so. The only thing I saw with this 100.
Team you're very familiar with, Jimmy, the Oklahoma Sooners. It's 35-0 over Minnesota. That is at the half. The Sooners still have not allowed a touchdown this year as they gave up on only a field goal against UCLA 2 weeks ago. This is Jamel Holloway scoring the latest Sooner touchdown. What an effort by him, Jimmy.
I tell you, he is a great football player, but they have a team of great players. The word is it's the most talented team they have ever had at University of Oklahoma, and that is scary, I promise you.
We covered 40 yards, but it was a 12-yard touchdown, and they're leading 35-0 at halftime. Now, number 2, Miami, of course, off this week, and next week the Hurricanes will go against the number 1 Sooners here on CBS. Third-ranked Michigan, this final just in, 31-12 over Oregon State. Tougher time for the Wolverines than expected. Fourth-ranked Alabama over Florida, 21-7. That's the second loss of the year for the Gators. And what about that Florida team?
Well, the probation and the lack of scholarships, cutting down to 75 scholarships, hurt lack of depth, and it's showing now. It showed against our football team the last time.
So Alabama remains unbeaten. Number 5, Penn State tonight will be at Boston College. Number 6, Nebraska will be at Illinois, where at halftime they'll retire Dick Butkus' jersey number 50 for the Illini. Just underway in Seattle. This should be a big game today. BYU has moved in front of Washington. As a matter of fact, they scored on the opening kickoff just a few moments ago. Robert Parker, the senior, going 94 yards. You remember, folks, how good Washington looked last week against Ohio State as they won in a romp by 33 points, but they fall behind early now as Parker returns the opening kickoff, and BYU has a 7-0 lead. Miami of Ohio will be at number 8 LSU tonight. The Tigers off that big win against Texas A&M a week ago. Baylor, 9th ranked in the country, a touchdown up on USC. That's in the second quarter. Big halftime lead for Auburn, the 10th ranked team in the nation, 31-0. Now in the East, a pair of unbeatens meeting, and Maryland now goes to 3-0. That final just in over West Virginia. Also in the East today, Cincinnati against Rutgers. Rutgers looks like they'll improve their record to 2-0-1 impressively today against Cincinnati. Temple over Florida A&M. They've come from behind to take a 2-touchdown lead. Paul Palmer, 32 carries, 193 yards for the Owls. Paul Palmer. Virginia Tech over Syracuse, 26-17. A week ago, the Hokies beat Clemson. Today, they make Syracuse now 0-3 on the year. An emotional week, really, for Bill Dooley. He's the coach and athletic director there at Virginia Tech. He won today's game, but earlier it was announced that the school wants to make a change in the athletic director post, and Dooley, though he wants to keep both jobs, has now filed a lawsuit to remain on as athletic director there at Virginia Tech. Penn and Dartmouth. Penn wins it 21-7. Now here's another case that had to go to court. Joe Yukiko on the sidelines for Dartmouth. The final year of his contract, he had to go to court in the offseason, and he won that battle to come back and coach this year for Dartmouth. But that touchdown helped Penn win it today 21-7 in the opener for Dartmouth. Now some other Ivy Leagues.
There's the president of the university hugging his football coach. Class man who has done a fine job the right way here at Michigan State, and his field leader, Dave Urema. So for the first time since 1968, the Spartans beat the Irish in East.
Pass from the pass. We're looking to make it 2 in a row this afternoon. All the action at the vet. Florida A&M, the opponent, started in the first quarter. The first Temple play of the game, Lee Sauls drops back the pass, and boy, is he going to pass way downfield. Keith Gloucester is down there. He hauls it in for a 50-yard scoring play. It looked like a cakewalk early. Not so. FAMU comes right back. Quarterback Oscar Williams was poised. He goes over the middle and hits a wide-open Rodney Bowling. It was 7-7. The Rattlers came to play. The Owls were rattling a bit on both sides of the line early, but they shook it off. Todd McNair helps the Temple cause with a 4-yard burst into pay dirt. Temple jumped out in front 14-7. They rolled after that. Number 6 Heisman candidate Paul Palmer rushed for 202 yards. He scores. Temple won at 38-17. FAMU came to play, and the Owls had a slow start.
We have a tendency to relax a little bit. We get up on people and we relax a little bit, and we give them the feeling of confidence that they can play with us. We have to learn how to stay consistent and stay on top of them.
All right.
Got another big rainbow off on the horizon. Let's see whose pot of gold it is here. Third down and a foot. Pete keeps it, and he's got the first down. He will be right about the 10, so it'll be first and goal at the 10. Well, they got him on the left side of center. And motions the other way, and they're going the other way. Pete rolls out and throws incomplete. Second down and goal from the 10. This is Ryan Knight. Ron Francis from the corner. Third down and goal from the 12. 4 minutes to play in the game. Beat the throw. Into the end zone. Henry got it. He caught it. Touchdown. Great catch. He just simply outleaped Ron Francis. It's 5-9 against 6-3. Now, Don Schaefer will try to tie it. With 3:50 to play, they're going to go for the tie and hope to get a shot at a field goal or another score. So, at 3 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the football game, we're
Last play of the Clemson-Georgia game in Athens. David Treadwell of Clemson lining up for a 46-yard field goal try with the score 28-28, and that's what happened less than 90 seconds ago as Treadwell's boot went through, and Clemson has upset Georgia at Georgia 31-28. Keith?
Okay, Jim. 31-28, huh? Leroy Holt is in at fullback now with Ryan Knight behind Pete. Pete keeps the ball on first down. Gets the clock rolling. That'll force Baylor to call a timeout with 106 and 105 and 104. Baylor's got 2 timeouts to spend. And they haven't done it yet.
Second week in a row we've had a ball game come down to the field goal. John Carney missed it last week for Notre Dame, and they fell a point shy. Here, 14-14. Schaefer can
Now Baylor's called the timeout. So Baylor team coming down. Looks like there's some hail mixed in this. Baylor with 1 timeout remaining. And they keep it going straight down, and now it's raining really hard and getting harder here. Southern California is threatening the Baylor goal line. They cover the ball one more time, and I'm not sure that was a totally clean snap. It's a pretty good shot, too. He's going to put it down 22, so it's 32 yards.
Kevin Marsh blocked 2 kicks in the first game. What they do on that down line now to Baylor is Sheffield and Grumbine try to make an opening. They pull apart the middle and let Marsh come through cleanly to try to block it.
McLean first has to handle the snap. And then Schaefer's got to try to get footing. Lightning and thunder and pouring rain, and the kick is up, and he got it! Just inside the uprights, and the game is over! Southern California whipped all over the field for 3.5 quarters. Baylor with opportunity after opportunity couldn't come up with anything. And lo and behold, the Trojans come alive late in the 4th quarter, pound it down the field, come back down the field, and win it with a 32-yard field goal from John Schaefer by a final score of 17-14.
4th-rated Alabama beat Florida at Gainesville 21-7. First time since 1979 Florida has lost 2 consecutive games at home. Washington mashed Brigham Young 52-21. Chris Chandler threw 4 touchdown passes in the 2nd quarter. Southern Cal, as you saw, pulled out a gritty 17-14 win over Baylor. Oklahoma, 14 different men carried the ball as the Sooners whipped Minnesota 63-zip. Michigan, with the big 4th quarter, put Oregon State away 31-12. Michigan State beat Notre Dame 20-15. Lou Holtz now 0-4 versus Michigan State at North Carolina State, Minnesota, and Notre Dame. Texas held on to stop a Missouri comeback and beat Mizzou 27-25 in Columbia. Auburn, through the air largely, 45-0, a winner over East Carolina. The Pirates, 12th loss in a row. Pittsburgh, 41-26. Freshman sensation Jeff George of Purdue intercepted 5 times by the Panther defense. 10-10 tie on the day of the Notre Dame-Michigan State game. It's fitting we should have at least one 10-10 tie 20 years later. This one between North Carolina and Florida State at Tallahassee. Navy fell to Indiana 52-29 as a backup quarterback named David Cram came off the bench for the injured Brent DeWitts and passed for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns. Maryland smothered West Virginia 24-3. Dan Henning Jr. 175 yards and 2 TDs passing. Ohio State beat Colorado 13-10 on 13-10, I should say, on a 19-yard field goal with 25 seconds to go by Pat O'Morrow. Back with more in a moment. 57-3 winner against Northern Illinois. Wyoming upset Air Force 23-17. Northwestern pulled a similar upset over Army 25-18. Southern Mississippi, another upset. 4 touchdowns from a sophomore running back named Shelton Gandy. The last one with 4 seconds to go as they beat Mississippi State 28-24. Clemson on the last second field goal, 46 yards by David Treadwell, beat Georgia 31-28. Arizona is rolling again, 41-17 over Oregon in the 4th quarter. Virginia Tech beating Syracuse at Syracuse 26-17. Syracuse drops to 0-3. Big win for Virginia Tech coach Bill Dooley, who is suing the school. North Carolina State, a 42-38 winner over Wake Forest, a game in which the lead changed hands 5 times in the 4th quarter. Houston upset Oklahoma State 28-12. Rutgers beat Cincinnati 48-28. Kentucky beat Kent State 37-12. Iowa State 64-9 over Indiana State. Kansas over Utah State 16-13. Arkansas State and Mississippi, another 10-10 tie. Arkansas beat Tulsa 34-17. Cal and Washington State, when last I heard it was 28-14 California. And we'll have one more commercial right here. Here on ABC Sports, some of you will see Purdue against Notre Dame as the Irish at 0-2 go for their first victory. Others of you will see Auburn against Tennessee. Tennessee will be trying to bounce back from the loss to Mississippi State, and Auburn, so far is unbeaten, could move into the top 10. I'll be back here next week, hopefully to do more serious things than eating pizza. We'll see you then.
University are on the road tonight, going up against the Eagles of Boston College. That is, Boston College coach Jack Bicknell knew he'd be in for one today. He'd have to pull out all stops. Starting with the opening kickoff, PSU booted it downfield. Looking to field the pigskin is Tyrone Taylor of Boston College. Taylor takes off, but he gets hit, and the ball comes loose. Some start for BC. PSU recovered the ball, and Coach Joe was liking every bit of it. On the ensuing drive from 8 yards out, they give this to Steve Smith. Smith goes the distance for the touch. The point after good, 7-0 Lions. Still in the first half now. David Rooney is back ready to punt. The snap was too high, and it came too fast, well over his head. Rooney runs it back to the end zone and decides to give up the 2 points. It was 9-0 in favor of Penn State. Doug Flutie is looking for some eligibility again. At last report, here's an update. They're in the fourth. It's Penn State 26-14 over Boston College in the fourth. Rutgers rolled over